Hi guys, it's Steffi from the Novelty Corner. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Books Beside My Bed video. For those of you who are new here, I film one of these every week where I wrap up the last 7 days worth of reading. And for those who are very familiar with the series, welcome back. Again, this has been a reasonably slow reading week for me. I finished off a book and I read 2 others. That's still a pretty good reading week. I've just been really tired with the start of the school year. It's amazing how exhausting it is teaching, especially teaching little kids, and I can tell because I've defaulted to watching TV shows in the last half of the week because I'm that tired. When I'm tired, I default to TV rather than books. It's just the way that I cope. So for those of you who are interested, I did start watching Star Trek Picard on Amazon Prime, then ran out of new episodes and went back to rewatching Star Trek Discovery on Netflix because I really love that show and it's sort of my happy place when I just need something on in the background that I don't have to pay attention to, because this is like my 3rd or 4th time rewatching season 1. So it's just good background noise for me. But we're here to talk about books. This is my reading week from the 9th until the 14th of February. I read 3 books this week, 2 young adult and 1 adult book. 1 was a short story collection, 1 was urban fantasy, and 1 was a mystery crime type book. I was very loosely participating in Tome, Topple and Contemporaryathon. I did have a full Contemporaryathon TBR and basically that didn't happen because I was tired, so I somehow managed to make 2 books fit every single Contemporaryathon challenge. We'll go with it. The first book that I read this week was finishing up King of Crows by Libba Bray. This is the 4th and final book in the Diviners series, although I don't know, there are hints at the end of the book that there may potentially be maybe a spin-off or something, I don't know. That's just the feeling I got at the end of reading it. I listened to the audiobook for this as I was reading along and I tapped it up because I love the series. It is a 2020 release from Allen & Unwin here in Australia and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Being a big brick of a book, this also completed a tome for Tome Topple. I can't remember what the prompts were because I didn't actually set a TBR for it. Being the 4th and final book, it's really hard to talk about this series. However, the Diviners world is a world where it's an alternate 1920s New York, and you have these group of teens who have these strange abilities, and their abilities that they received as the result of interference, shall we say. I won't give too much away. And they all affect each person individually. So someone can read the history of objects, some of them can dreamwalk, some of them can make people believe that they can't see them, and eventually all of these teens find each other and try and unravel the mystery of how and why they developed these abilities. And meanwhile, the thread through the whole series has been this threat from the King of Crows, who is this mysterious, very creepy, disturbing being. And obviously in this book we finally come to a head with everything that is going on. I think I gave every other book in the series 5 stars. I don't know what it was about this one that made me just sort of question whether I was going to give it 5 stars or 4.5. I don't know. I think there were just a couple of things that left me a tiny bit unsatisfied, not in a way that I was disappointed with the book. The book was still really great and I really enjoyed it and I'm really happy with how it wrapped up. But there were just little things that niggled at me as I was reading, and there was one plot twist that I think was sort of signposted what was actually going on. It maybe even from the 3rd book. I don't know, I still really enjoyed it. I liked seeing how all the characters came together, and I also like the fact that there are different characters who had to spend time with people they wouldn't normally spend time with or hadn't spent time with in the other books, and so it helped to develop those relationships. There was a bit of a redemption arc for some of the characters, there was a bit of growth for pretty much all of them, and it was just enjoyable, and I'm so glad that I have read this series. It is really good if you like urban fantasy. Then I read The Lost Man by Jane Harper. This was one of the books that I picked for Contemporaryathon. It was a 2019 release from Pan Macmillan and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I was originally going to read this for the dark or hard-hitting contemporary book because it is a mystery crime thriller-ish type, well, it's not really a thriller, but that sort of story. In the end, I also put it down for the challenges, beloved by the book community, because I know so many people love this book and Jane Harper in general, and so do I. And also for backlist because this book is nearly 12 months old. This is a standalone book and it follows the story of Nathan, who is the oldest of 3 brothers. All 3 brothers live in sort of the middle of nowhere, rural Queensland, and at the very start of the book in the 1st chapter, Nathan is driving out to see the body of his 2nd youngest brother, Cameron, who has died mysteriously in the middle of nowhere in front of an old stockman's grave. And this is weird because all 3 brothers really know the land. They know that if you're going to travel anywhere, particularly in the middle of summer when it is excruciatingly hot, you have supplies and everything. So Cameron's death is a real mystery, and it forces Nathan to go home to his parents' place and to help deal with the loss of the brother. Meanwhile, he also has his teenage son with him, who splits his time between Brisbane with his mother and his father in the country. And we uncover all sorts of family secrets and things that haven't gone well. And we find out that Nathan is a bit of a town pariah in the small town, which means he basically doesn't really have contact with anyone. So this has a lot of really dark themes. It has a lot of family themes in it. It is really, really beautifully written. Jane Harper is so good at writing Australia, and especially outback Australia. I loved it. It was great. I'm so glad I read it. I need to go buy physical copies of The Dry and Force of Nature because I'm going to be rereading these books for sure. And finally, I read Underdog, a collection of Love Oswaye short stories. This was edited by Tobias Madden. It was a 2019 release from Underdog, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The story behind this collection is that brand new authors who hadn't had anything traditionally published before were invited to submit short stories, and then there was a collection of stories that were selected, and this is the first collection. And it was really great. You have a mix of contemporary, all sorts of things, that sort of magical realism. There was a story in here that I really liked that features bunyips and the mythology around bunyips, and it was really kind of creepy and cool. It is a very diverse read, and as such, this fit a whole lot of Contemporaryathon challenges because the bulk of the stories were contemporary. It fit the challenge green cover, new to your authors, because all of these authors this is their first published collection, really. It was diverse, and it also has a gorgeous illustrated cover. So this is a great collection for young adult teens, especially if you want to explore new authors. It was really great. I really enjoyed it, and there were some really quirky, fun, cute stories. So those are the books that I read in the last 7 days. In the comments, let me know if you have read any of these books or if you're planning on reading them in the future. I'd love to know your thoughts on them. Otherwise, let me know what you have been reading. I'm always on the lookout for new recommendations for books because that's how I find new things, and that's how I pick up things I wouldn't normally pick up. I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're having a wonderful day, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.